now. So this is a lesson on classifying quadrilaterals. So this, what we first see on your front, on the first page of your notes, and up here on the smartboard, is what we call a Venn diagram of the relationship between quadrilaterals and their subcategories. The Venn diagram is actually just interesting to note. He's been around for a couple hundred years. Yeah, about a couple hundred years. A guy named John Venn, I'm not telling you that's not a joke. There's an English man named John Venn kind of came up with this concept. And you have overlapping categories of things as a good way to make sense of them. And so this blue circle is the umbrella terminology, quadrilaterals, right? So that would mean that quadrilaterals that we mean as kites, trapezoids, parallelograms, rectangles, squares, rhombuses are all quadrilaterals, right? Because they're inside that circle. That's the first thing you want to know. A kite, trapezoid, and parallelograms, there's no overlap between those, right? A kite is never a trapezoid, and a trapezoid is never a kite, and neither of those are parallelograms and vice versa. So we'll talk about the details of these in a second, just to try to have you understand the diagram. So what would you infer about rectangles, squares, and rhombuses? They are all what, Ryan? Nice muffin.
Parallelograms.
There we go. Okay, they're all parallelograms. Are they also quadrilaterals?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, why would we have this overlap of rectangles, squares, and rhombuses? Yes, sir, Katie.
Because squares, some rectangles are squares, and squares can also be rhombuses.
Mm-hmm. Well, squares are always rhombuses and always rectangles, right? But, and this is important we discuss it like this, because your homework tonight is 100% always, sometimes, in other questions. So, a rhombus doesn't have to be a square, but a square is always a rhombus, and we'll get to the details of these definitions. A rectangle is sometimes a square, but a square is always a rectangle, all right? So that's enough on that. Now, how do I change this? Okay. So a quadrilateral, first of all, I forgot to give you a definition of quadrilateral. So let's get that now. A quadrilateral is well, who thinks they know what the definition of quadrilaterals? Okay, yes, sir.
A quadrilateral is a regular polygon with four sides.
Okay, it doesn't have to be regular. Because regular would mean all the sides are the same way and the angles are all the same. But you got the one part right. It's a polygon with four sides. Okay. All right. Now let's just the definition of polygon. What would we want to actually? I'm going to think that in here. Go back here. The definition of a polygon, just so since that is in the definition of a quadrilateral, let's get that down. A polygon is a closed plane figure, meaning it's two-dimensional, right? Formed by three or more line segments that intersect only at their endpoints. So other examples of other polygons are, besides quadrilaterals, triangles, what else? Pentagons.
Square.
Well, squares are quadrilateral.
Octagons.
So octagons, dectagons, etc. Okay? So since polygon is in that definition for a quadrilateral, we ought to have a definition of a polygon. Does it have that? All right. Now, so this quadrilateral there's nothing more specific than I could name this quadrilateral that we have before us right here. You can see that all its side lengths are different, its angles are different. So the best I could name this first quadrilateral right here is a quadrilateral, right? Now, but looking down below here, I have a parallelogram, and what makes something a parallelogram? Caroline?
Two or more lines that are
Okay, well, two or more would signify I could have 8. So I want you to think of pairs. Use the word pair in your definition.
Two pairs of parallel.
Okay. So it is first of all, let's call it a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of parallel sides. Now that's the basic definition that we want to have here, but is there anything we could add to that beyond, and that's an acceptable definition, but what else do we notice just so we are starting to realize there's more to the story than that? Yes.
It has two pairs of the exact same angles.
Yes, so opposite angles are congruent, and also you could, and the other thing I would want you to note is that it's what we call our consecutive angles are what? Are supplementary, right? So it's we call those consecutive angles are supplementary. Right, so that's a parallelogram. All right. So now this is a classic rectangle, right? And where this gets where we get more specific in our language, for example, if I talk about a square, if I try to convince a kindergartner that a square is also a rectangle, I'm probably getting quite an argument there, right? But the reality is a square is a rectangle. So how are we going to define a rectangle? And let's try to use the word parallelogram, right? Because it is a parallelogram. All right, I'm going to do this with you.
A parallelogram with all right angles.
Okay, yeah, that ought to do it. So it's a parallelogram with 4 right angles. So any quadrilateral that's a parallelogram with 4 right angles would be a rectangle. That's why a square is considered to be a rectangle. But a square also has another condition that we have to consider that makes it a square specifically. All right. Can I get some more? Yes. Can we use the word rectangle in our definition of a square?
A rectangle where all sides are the same.
Okay. Yep, that ought to do it. I think I might have written it just slightly different. It's a rectangle with 4 congruent sides. So, if we said parallelogram with 4 congruent sides, I would say that would not work, would it? Right? That would be, why was the word rectangle important there? Caroline? Exactly. So if we didn't say rectangle, we wouldn't have in there that that's 4 right angles. All right. So let's go down to a rhombus. What I would have you notice here, I put tick marks on here to take all the side lengths are the same, and I made some parallel markers. So let's use the word, we can't use the word rectangle for a rhombus, can we?
No.
Okay. We can't use the word square for a rhombus.
Parallel.
So what would you say it is, Joe?
Well, it's a parallelogram with 2 pairs of congruent.
Supplement.
Well, I think we want to focus on side lengths here. Because parallelogram, that's already implied.
With 4 sides.
Okay. So it's a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. That captures everything we need there, right? Now, but let's realize go ahead. But let's realize that a square could be
Yeah, that's what I was.
a square would still meet this definition, but a square is more specific, right?
Yeah.
So remember, a square is always a rhombus, and a square is always a rectangle. All right, now a kite, a little bit different here. A little bit different. Somebody in the back. Tell me about a kite. What makes a kite? Why is it not? Remember, it's not in that. If you look at your Venn diagram on the first page, it is not a parallelogram. So that means there's something different going on. Anybody in the back want to think what makes a kite a kite? Notice you have 2 hatch marks there, and you have 3 hatch marks here. All right. Take it, Ryan.
Alright, it's a quadrilateral with, two pairs of parallel sides and one pair
Parallel?
of, or, no, congruent sides and one pair of congruent.
Oh, yeah, and I would have added that, not as part of the technical definition, but you are right, I would have said that. It does have one pair of congruent angles. But the way we say this, it's a quadrilateral with two pairs of adjacent, like this one is adjacent or next to its partner congruent side, and these two are adjacent and are both congruent. So that's going to naturally, you cannot have these opposite angles being congruent. If they were congruent, it would be a parallelogram, it would be a cut. But these two are congruent. Okay? So make sure you know that word adjacent. All right. Okay. So a trapezoid. What do we know about trapezoids? Is it a parallelogram?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay, Alex, sorry to interrupt. What makes a trapezoid a trapezoid?
Quadrilateral with one set of parallel lines.
So that's pretty much it. It's a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. All right. Now this one, if the other two sides are not parallel, are parallel, it's no longer a trapezoid, right? So exactly one pair of quadrilaterals, exactly one pair of parallel sides. I think that's all we can say about that. Now, this next one below you'll see is an isosceles trapezoid. And what would make it isosceles? What would make it isosceles? What do you think, Caroline?
Quadrilateral with two pairs.
Oh, we can use the word trapezoid since we've already defined trapezoid. So let's use the word, what makes a trapezoid isosceles, or when is a trapezoid isosceles?
A trapezoid with two pairs of congruent angles.
Oh, interesting. That would probably, that's not the technical definition, but I would have to think that it would be hard to argue with that definition. I'm going to give you this one, but and, I'm not going to make you answer. You're not going to have to define things the way you're going to. What you are going to have to do is answer always, sometimes, never questions. So you have to know the technical aspects of these definitions. But I would be hard pressed to argue with Caroline's definition here. But the way it's formally defined is a trapezoid with non-parallel sides being congruent. All right, the two non-parallel sides are congruent. So the trapezoid. Now, we're going to do, before I give you time to do the homework, so close your computers. Actually, we're going to use our computers. I need to tell you one quick story, and then I want to do one thing on GeoGebra about this, and then you'll have time to start the homework. Okay? Got that? Okay, so let me turn this off.
You press the top,
Goodbye.
top bar.
Bye.
You press the.
Alex Stewart over this.
Uh,
Jake Weirman
Hey,
was here.
Mark.
Come right, Alex
Yeah.
Stewart. Turn
That
over.
right there?
Holding on